Hey guys, it's Darwin and this is the ZenBivy Ultralight Bed, an all-in-one backpacking sleep system that cost over $800. But why? I've noticed over the past year that this has become one of the most talked about sleep systems by other backpacking YouTubers here on the platform, and I've wondered to myself, why are so many other backpacking YouTubers using it? Why is it so damn expensive? Is it actually any good, or is it all just hype? You see, for the past 9 years and over 1,000 nights in the backcountry, I've basically been using the exact same sleep system. A Thermarest pad, whether it's the Neo Air X-Lite or the Uberlite, a 20-degree quilt, whether it is the UGQ Bandit or the Enlightened Equipment Enigma, and a Sea to Summit Aeros Ultralight pillow. So to expand my horizons, I decided to reach out to ZenBivy to see if I could get my hands on one of these systems for testing. Well, I just took it out to Oregon for a 3-day, 2-night mini thru hike of the Timberline Trail to find out for myself, is it worth the money or is it all just hype? And before we jump into the review, even though ZenBivy sent me this to test out, I'm not sponsored by ZenBivy. They didn't pay me to make this video, and actually they don't even know that I'm doing this review. So surprise, these are all of my own thoughts and opinions after using it out on the Timberline Trail. And before we jump into what I like and what I don't like, let's go over the specs. The ZenBivy Ultralight Bed is a modular, non-restrictive sleep system designed to make you feel like you're in your bed at home out in the backcountry. The ultralight quilt features color-coded attachment points that work in conjunction with their ultralight sheet. The sheet attaches around your sleeping pad and features an uninsulated or insulated hood option to keep your pillow in place and your head extra toasty. The sheet also features 2 fabric walls on both sides with color-coded hooks that attach to the top of the quilt, creating a barrier on both sides to block out drafts. Both the quilt and the sheet are made out of a 10D Pertex quantum fabric with a DWR coating. The ultralight pad is made out of a 20D recycled polyester taffeta and features 2 layers of mylar foil insulation to create a 4.8 R value. The fully modular soft top pillow hooks right into the hood and features an inflatable bladder, down pillow topper, and a separate pillowcase. So like I said, this video is not sponsored by ZenBivy. However, it is brought to you by the fine folks that help support my channel and allow me to get out on hikes like the Timberline Trail, Onyx Backcountry. While we were out there, Onyx was absolutely amazing, not only to navigate the Timberline Trail, but it's also currently fire season in Oregon, and we actually had some wildfires not too far from us on the PCT. Now, luckily, we didn't get affected by them, but it was a really nice feature to have on the app to be able to toggle on and off the active wildfire layer or the smoke layer to make sure that we could stay safe just in case anything changed. And I absolutely love whenever I'm hiking around iconic mountains like Mount Hood, I can use the 3D option to be able to actually look at the profile of the mountain, see all the elevation, and then see where the trail goes at the base to see if we are gonna have to hike on any type of snow patches or things like glacial runoffs. So if you wanna step up your backcountry navigation and route planning game and just be more confident when you're out on the trail, check out my link down below for 20% off the Onyx Backcountry app. And you can even get a free trial before signing up. I cannot thank Onyx enough for helping to support my channel and getting me out on hikes like the Timberline Trail. All right, let's talk about what I like and what I don't like. And first off, let's talk about kind of what the ZenBivy system's all about. It really comes down to 3 main features. Even though there's 4 things here, it's really the 3 things. It is a quilt, the sheet, and then a pad. Now, I also have the pillow, which they sent me, and I'll go over that here in a second, but talking about things that I like, first off, I actually really did like their quilt. It's a nice 25-degree quilt made out of an excellent material. It kept me super warm, very cozy. And then what makes their quilt really unique is this whole, I guess, sheet attachment system. So they put all these color-coordinated loops on the quilt, and that allows it to actually attach to the same color-coordinated hook on the sheet.
I can say first impressions is I like the whole system, the whole clip system. These little things that clip into the sheet, the ultralight sheet, because it does kind of make it wrap around you and feel like a little cocoon, like a bed. Strangely enough, I mean, that's not how my bed works at home, but I can see where they call it a backcountry bed.
Now, when I first got this system, to be 100% honest, I thought the sheet was kind of a gimmick. I was like, well, out of all the miles that I've ever put in on the trail over the past 9 years, I've never felt like I needed a sheet for my quilt, but it probably ended up being my favorite part of the system, simply because with the quilt attached to the sheet, it almost made it feel like a cocoon. And it's not restrictive like a sleeping bag, but I'm a person that rolls around a lot when I sleep, so it really helped keep everything nice and tucked and made for a comfortable night's sleep.
I love the hook system and the little wall that's on the side. It does make it super comfortable because I feel like I'm never tossing over and a little bit of cold air coming in and me wanting to pull it back down in the middle of the night.
And along with that sheet, it actually has a hood. So you can get two different options. You can get the uninsulated hood, which I have here, and what I took out on the Timberline Trail, or you can get the insulated hood that actually has down in it in case you're going out for a colder night. Now, even though they sent me the insulated hood, I didn't use it for the Timberline Trail because it wasn't going to get that cold. But what I can say about the hood is I didn't really use it. I actually would take it and fold it behind the pad simply because whenever I first got into quilts, one of the things that I didn't like about sleeping bags was the hood that I never used.
I don't really like the hood thing. I've realized that I guess years of not using a hood, like not having sleeping bags anymore, the whole hood thing on the sheet is just kind of worthless to me. It just kind of gets in the way, so I tucked it out of the way, kind of like wrapped it around the pad.
So aside from the hood, those are the things that I actually liked about the system. So what did I not like about the system? Well, to start off, the biggest thing that I really just didn't like was their sleeping pad, what they call the ultralight sleeping pad. I've never been a fan of this style of pad. It honestly kind of reminds me of some of those budget sleeping pads that I used to talk about in my ultralight gear on a budget series, something you could pick up for like $20 or $30. That being said, it does have an R value of 4.8. And a lot of those old cheap pads definitely didn't at all. They might have had an R value of like 2, but I can't really speak to how warm it kept me because we didn't really have that cold of nights out on trail. But what I can say about this pad is I don't know if it's because I'm a bonier person with my hips and my shoulder, but I roll around a lot at night and I'm a side sleeper. Well, with pads like this, because of the baffling system, what I found is even though it's 3 inches thick, when I lay on it, I'm hitting the ground.
Right off the bat, I don't like the pad. I've never been a fan of these type of waffle quilted pads because I'm a side sleeper. I have really bony hips. So if you're laying completely flat on it, it's really comfortable. But if I just slightly adjust and like kind of bend my legs up or my torso up to kind of adjust myself, my hip goes straight through the pad and straight onto the ground. Actually, even sitting on it right now, I'm touching the ground.
So if you're somebody that's not super bony, you just lay on your back and you don't really toss and turn a lot, I'm sure this would be a great pad, but for me, it's an absolute no-go. And then the last thing that I really dislike about the ZenBivy system, honestly, is the thing that I didn't even take out on the trail. Sorry, ZenBivy, their pillow. It's a nice pillow, don't get me wrong, but it's a little much. For years, I've been using the Sea to Summit Eros Ultralight pillow, and that has been amazing. It's super comfortable. It's tried and true. It packs down to smaller than my fist, and it only weighs 2 ounces. This thing is huge, kind of like a pillow that you have at home. And I get it, this whole system is supposed to be similar to your sleeping in your bed at home, as they say. But I just think this is a bit overkill. Now, the pillow, not only is it big, but it is actually a modular 3-piece system. So you have the pillowcase that has these little hooks that actually hook up into the hood. And then on the inside, first off, you have the actual air bladder that's a separate piece. I wasn't a big fan of this. I mean, you can probably see why. You got to blow this up, then feed it on the inside, or put it on the inside and then blow it up, however you want to do it. And this is fine. But then there's also a down pillow insert. Now to me, this could probably just be a pillow all by itself. As you can see, it doesn't really pack down that small. That in itself is bigger than my pillow. But the other thing that I don't understand about this is the point. It is filled with down. It's a 650 fill down, and obviously it's supposed to keep your head warm, right? Well, if you know how down works, down needs to have a fluff to it, right? It needs to have fill to it. Well, if you're sleeping on this and the heaviest thing on your body is pressed up against it, it's not really doing anything. So to me, this is total overkill. Now, you can totally choose to not get this. Just get the insert, the air insert, and the pillowcase. But again, to me, this is a lot of pillow and a lot of weight for what you're actually getting. At 8 ounces for this entire kit, it just seems a bit overkill. Sorry, ZenBivy, I didn't even take this out with me. I just left it at home because I knew that I wouldn't like it. So, altogether, do I think the ZenBivy was actually a good piece of gear? Was it comfortable? Do I think it's worth the money, or is it all hype? Well, it kind of comes down to two main things for me. It comes down to the price and the weight. And I guess to go over those, we need a change of setting. All right, so let's break down the price and the weight of the ZenBivy system that I just tested and what I have been using for just about 9 years and a little over 1,000 nights in the backcountry. So if we're looking at just the ZenBivy system, and that is, again, that's gonna be everything that I just showed. So the ultralight 20-degree quilt, the full pillow system, the uninsulated hood, and the ultralight sleeping pad in a large, 3 pounds and 4 ounces, and the cost is gonna be $813. Now, obviously this all changes if you decide instead you want an extra large quilt or you want to go with a 10-degree down quilt, but that's going to go up. Obviously the weight's going to go up. And same thing with the ultralight sheet. If you want to go with an insulated hood, that is also going to change that price depending on what you select. But this is just the system that I just got done using, which again is 3 pounds, 4 ounces for $813. Now let's compare that to my system. That's gonna be my Enlightened Equipment Enigma 20-degree quilt. That's gonna be my Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite and my Sea to Summit Aeros Ultralight pillow, which is a regular one, I believe. The weight for that system is gonna be 2 pounds and 8 ounces, and the price is gonna come out to $744. So definitely cheaper, definitely lighter. But you might be saying to yourself, but Darwin, the ZenBivy system has the sheet. You're right, it does have the sheet. But even if you take the sheet out, it definitely drops the price down. It gets it a little more comparable. It gets the weight a little more comparable to my system. And yeah, you could go more ultralight with the pillow, but here's where I bump into a problem of the question, is it worth it? Is it worth the money that you're paying? And the main thing that I look at is the fact that if I'm looking at the ZenBivy quilt and I get the 25-degree, I get a large, I get it in the silver gray option, it's $449 for the quilt. Now, this quilt is a nice quilt, but it is made overseas in Vietnam. And there's nothing wrong with gear that's made overseas.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I own a ton of gear that's made overseas. My Aeros Ultralight pillow is made overseas, so nothing wrong with that, but things made overseas tend to be cheaper to manufacture versus things that are made in the US. Now, if I look at my quilt versus the $449 quilt, my Enlightened Equipment Enigma custom quilt, made in the US, custom made, I'm gonna get a 950 fill, so a little bit more fill power. I'm gonna get 20 degrees, so I get it down about 5 degrees less or colder, right? Long and wide, basically the exact same thing as the ZenBivy quilt. And then I can pick whatever color and fabric. I'm a guy who likes 7D on the inner, and I like 10D on the outer, just to get a little bit more ruggedness on the outer, but maybe you're a person that wants 20D all the way around because you're really just gonna put it through some stuff. If I select the option that I would select for my quilt, I'm looking at $460. So that's an $11 difference for something that's custom made, that can get down to a lower temp, that has a nicer fill power, I can customize everything, and it's made in the US. So I kind of bump into the idea that something that's made overseas that has a little bit less power to it, right? It can't get down as low, and it's only 5 degrees, so we're not talking much. It has nicer down in it, is only $11 more. Or let's talk about the UGQ Bandit. So this is the quilt that I used for my 2021 Through Hike of the Continental Divide Trail, a custom UGQ Bandit, again, made in the US, at 950 fill, 20 degrees wide and long, and I can customize the colors of the inner and the outer, is gonna come out to $455, which is just a $6 difference versus what I'm getting with the ZenBivy ultralight quilt. And then there's the pad, right? There's no secret, I've already said it, that I'm not a fan of their sleeping pad at all. I think it's kind of uncomfortable for me, being a side sleeper, being bony, but if I buy the large pad, it's $199 for, again, a pad that is a little chunky for what it is. They call it the ultralight mattress, but it's a little chunky compared to some other options. It is also made overseas in Vietnam versus the sleeping pad that I've been using, what I would call the gold standard of like, especially long distance hiking, which is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite, wide and long, same width, a little bit longer than the ZenBivy pad, and it only costs $40 more. It's lighter, and again, it's made in the US. So when it comes down to the question of is it worth it, for me, it doesn't seem worth it at all. But again, you're saying, but Darwin, the sheet. Yes, the sheet is cool, and I personally like that. It's probably my favorite feature about this system, but I could just use the pad straps that comes with my Enlightened Equipment quilt or my UGQ quilt, and that has always been just fine for me, keeping it tucked and preventing drafts. Do I think that the ZenBivy system is all hype? No, it's a really nice system. It was really cool to use. And again, I love the sheet idea, but I don't think it's worth it just to get the sheet. Now, all that being said, if you're somebody that's looking for a hood, you want it to be insulated, you want this system that really snaps it down because you're worried about drafts, is it worth it for you? I'm sure it is, because it all comes down to the user, right? For years I've said that all gear is subjective, and that's true with this as well. It's all in the eye of the beholder, or it's all in the pocketbook of the gear user. So if those are features that you're looking for, that you want, I think it's totally worth it. For me, I'm just gonna stick with what I use and what I know works for me on the trail. Plus, it's cheaper, it's lighter, and most of it's made here in the US, customized. So there you guys go. There are my thoughts and my opinions about the ZenBivy Ultralight system. Have you tried one of these systems? Do you currently use one in your pack right now? Or have you been thinking about getting one for yourself? Or what is your go-to sleep system on the trail right now? What's the pad, pillow, and quilt that you take out every single time? Leave me something down below and let me know your thoughts. Guys, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. I love you, and as always, thanks for watching.